Hey, it's Benji Cole, son of Al Cole from CBS Radio and host of the syndicated talk show, People of Distinction. The talk that gives you an in-depth view of some of the most dynamic, intelligent, and successful people on the planet. Run to our website, alcoleenterprises.com for more info. Email me through benji@alcoleenterprises.com if you'd like to get involved with what we have going. And as always, please continue to like and follow our broadcasts. People of Distinction is internationally syndicated solely due to the love and support that you all continue to give. We're available across all major distributors, and as long as you keep following, we're going to continue to put out the content. Now sit back and strap in, because on the line with us today, we have the impressive Kelley Browne Reynolds. Now we're going to be discussing Kelley's amazing children's book, Little Seed. That's available for purchase through Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and a whole host of other places. But if you want to gather everything that she has in store, check out her personal site, and that's KelleyBrowneReynolds.com. There, you'll find more information on her, more information on this fantastic book, hyperlinks set up to take you to the purchasing pages. Trust me when I tell you, it is a one-stop shop. And in addition to this book, well, Kelley has two other ones that are still in creation. Not available for purchase just yet, but you're going to want to check back in frequently. One is called Let Yourself Fly. Another one, Wisdom of the Worm. Oh yeah, and before I forget, in addition to all of that, Little Seed also has a Spanish version. I'm telling you, Kelley is doing some things, and you got to check it out. It's KelleyBrowneReynolds.com. Head on over there today and figure out why I say that. I quickly want to point out the fact that Kelley was brought to our network by one of the best firms in the business, Studio of Books. So for my writers out there listening in, if you've gone through your process creating your masterpiece and now you need some help moving that book you just developed, well, look no further than Studio of Books, because they're one of the best movers in the business. You're going to want to head on over to studioofbooks.com and gather all the ways that their fantastic team is going to help you do just that. And listen, it is a true pleasure to have Kelley here on the line. People, her book is something special. Man, we are going to dive into a magical world of a little seed with some pretty big dreams. Okay, there is something special about this book because it celebrates growth, individuality, and the beauty of being uniquely yourself. There is something to be said about really celebrating what makes us us. I think we've gotten to a point now where so often we want to blend into the crowd. We don't want to stand out. We don't want to be different from others. Well, listen, I'm here to tell you, there is something special about what makes us unique. And Kelley is also here to showcase that we need to celebrate all of that. I'm telling you, this is something you need to add to your shelf, and it's really something that you're going to love being a part of. And at the end of the day, Kelley is the expert. So let's bring her here with us so she can tell us all about it. Kelley, first and foremost, welcome to People of Distinction, and thank you very much for being a guest. How are you doing today?
I'm so good. Thank you so much. It was really such an honor and so kind of reaffirming of my message to listen to you talk about it, talk about the book. And, it's like I think that was my primary reason for writing the book, was to reach people and reach children, and even the parents reading the book to the children, just to let them know that the best thing about you is you, Yeah. So I so appreciate you capturing that in my introduction.
Of course. Well, listen, you laid down a fantastic roadmap. All right, we'll say that, Kelley. It was easy to follow, but I really do mean this. I think what you've done is something that's needed, because I remember growing up, and that was always a challenge for people to step out and be themselves. And it was always something that was even daunting at times, right? You wanted to fit in. You wanted to be like everyone else. And it wasn't until I got to a certain age that I was just basking in it. And it was something that I truly celebrated. And I think it was probably, for me, it probably came at like my junior year in high school, and definitely by college. When I got to college, I was just like, yeah, let's just go. But it's something that I think needs to be brought out more, in that confidence that we are instilling within our children is such a key factor to it all. So first and foremost, Kelley, I know you've already started to go into your inspiration behind this, but let's go a little deeper. Not only what inspired you to write this book, but also your main protagonist being a little seed, because there's so many metaphors that can come just from that. Talk to us about its inspiration and the creation behind it.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, like, sometimes it's, I feel like you're given a message as someone, an author or a writer, and you're struck with these kind of ideals, and I think that it's kind of, you're left to be the steward of that ideal. Mm-hmm. I don't necessarily feel like I took so much time to figure it out. It just came to me. I really had always struggled my life to fit in, and and then having 3 children, watching them kind of go through the same thing, and it's just like painful. It's painful to watch, and to watch your children kind of like, grapple with this idea of like, I'm different. Obviously, we all are. I mean, This is the amazing thing about the differences. We are all very unique individuals, but I think that with the introduction of social media, even if your children aren't, on at a very young age, it's just like this general vibe that you get through childhood right now, and that these kids are expected to kind of conform to a very narrow scope, and anything that even ventures outside of that range, even by the slightest bit, like they feel it. Yeah. They feel like, oh my gosh, like I'm not quite like what I'm supposed to be in a way. And watching my children go through that, I mean, I think for me, it's like, one thing with your children is that you're kind of reliving your childhood a little bit. And it's like, it was kind of like all those old wounds kind of came up, and like the realness of their experiences. And so when the ideal came, it just felt right, in that moment. And then I kind of second guessed myself. I think that happens with people who are creative. I second guess myself a little bit, like, is this the thing? And then, I unfortunately was kind of ill for a couple of years. And during that time, I just needed something else to focus on. And it just kind of came back to life in that time. So.
Kelley, I love what you're saying here, because listen, this is why I think your book is so powerful, because there's a universal message here. I don't care how old you are listening in right now, people, you can all relate to being that seed growing up before you bloomed, right? Before you blossomed into the individual that you are. We all started at the same point, and we all had our reservations, wanting to step out of that box that we were in, but maybe restricting it, holding ourselves back for whatever reason. And a lot of times it's fear of being rejected. Well, my follow-up question that I want to go into now, Kelley, and you can use your own personal experience, research that you had conducted, maybe a culmination of the two, but how do you think parents or educators can use this book to start conversations with their kids about things like growth, individuality, and even self-confidence?
I genuinely think that each classroom, I can't even speak to being an educator. I can't imagine kind of trying to bring a number of children in and kind of form like a community a little bit. And I think that for teachers to be able to hand this book or read this book and have one child in the class that's maybe on the outside or who's struggling a little bit, I feel like it would help them so much to feel heard. A lot of times I think that that's the primary thing, is that when you're struggling in that way, I think that the number one thing that you would do to protect yourself is to hide it. And, as educators, they're very sensitive to what's going on in their classroom. They see the dynamics. They see who's like, quote unquote, popular, the kids who are not. And so being able to speak to that, I feel like it is twofold. You're allowing that child to feel heard, and then also creating a little bit of an awareness with the other children that, what you're doing maybe doesn't seem like a big deal, but someone else could be really affected by being excluded or being different. And it just creates a little bit of a sensitivity in both directions. And I think that was not, it's like, I feel like I played a lot in how do you get a message across without it being overt, and kind of taking a very cute character and really taking a depth of emotion and bringing that into a story so that people are able to articulate and take the message away that they need to take from the experience. So I think that teachers kind of can use it as a tool, like a little bit of a tool to get a message out there without it being like, you're bad if, you're trying to be popular, because they're just trying to do the same thing that any other kid is doing. And then also like, listen, if you're struggling as, a child who's not quite fitting in, it's like you're not pointing them out or singling them out either. Like it kind of feels like a very nurturing way to bring the conversation into a classroom.
Listen, as an artist myself, Kelley, what you just said resonates profoundly because I've always been someone that has looked at the power of art in terms of getting messages across. And I think I'm biased because, of course, given my background, that's kind of always how I've attached onto certain things rather than, someone just coming out and lecturing. And please understand people, hey, listen, there's nothing wrong, to each their own and how you choose to receive messages. But I've always looked in the art that I've created as ways where we can articulate the same message, but we can do it under the guise of entertainment and seeing the world through someone else's eyes. And for me, there's always been a little bit more ease that comes along with that, right? I mean, it takes the pressure off a little bit when you're talking about this particular story, when what we're messaging here is again, building that self-confidence. Well, rather than talking to the individual and trying to get their self-confidence to be built, if you can construct a story of a similar character that has the same type of issues potentially and how they've built their self-confidence, that message can now be translated in a much more indirect way and potentially doesn't make the individual and the child in this instance feel so much like they're in the spotlight, if that makes sense. And I think that that's a great way that you've chosen to construct this world for children to be able to grow and develop through. People, I'm telling you, you got to pick up your copies, man. Again, it's Amazon, it's Barnes & Noble, it's KelleyBrowneReynolds.com. Head on over there, pick up your copies of Little Seed today. And while you're at it, remember, there's more on the horizon, okay? 2 other books still in creation. Little Seed also available in Spanish. There is a lot here to be gained. Kelley, as we start to transition now, I know you have these 2 other books that are still in the process of development, but please choose another one of your titles, whether it's Let Yourself Fly or Wisdom of the Worm. Pick one of them and tell us a little bit more about it so we know what to expect when we purchase it.
Yeah, I will choose Let Yourself Fly. I think everyone has experienced where you want to go and do something, you want to put yourself out there in the world, and for whatever reason you talk yourself out of it or you hold yourself back. And the book is about the magic of like when you let yourself fly, when you let yourself go out and do the things that you want to do and that you feel maybe that are kind of out there or they're different or like someone's already doing it, I can't do it to that level or whatever it is, like whatever you're using to hold yourself back. I feel like it gives kids the opportunity to see like your magic is actually for everyone. It's not just for you. Like you need to put yourself out there. There's someone that's coming out behind you who is wanting to do something similar to you, and you're just an example. You're another stretch outside of the comfort zone of humanity, I guess is how I would explain it. But yeah, so the book is just telling children, like, listen, even if your friends don't want to do it, even if you've never seen it before, you should let yourself fly. Let yourself go and do it because there's value to that.
Listen, Kelley, I both of these messages are each fantastically valuable. And they all fall similarly under the same umbrella, right? Taking that leap of faith. Whew, Kelley, you got me going down memory lane right now. I'm thinking about my past and I'm like, oh my goodness, but it's honestly, to use the metaphor of course, we're talking about let yourself fly. Well, it's very similar in flying for the first time, right? It's terrifying. It's exhilarating, but ultimately it's transformative, right? And when you trust yourself enough to fly, you not only discover the heights that you're capable of reaching, but also embrace the unique beauty of your journey. And that, I think, is so important and oftentimes is overlooked. It's kind of like that metaphor of the iceberg. A lot of times when we see someone that is successful, when we see someone that has reached the pinnacle of whatever they're looking for, whatever they wanted to reach, we see the success. We see what they are now receiving, the limelight, the attention, the money, whatever it is. But we don't see everything that's below that surface in a similar fashion to an iceberg. We don't see the work. We don't see the rejection. We don't see the failure that they've experienced. And oftentimes, and I know, again, just speaking from my own experience, people, I get it. It's easier said than done. When you're going through those moments where you're stumbling, you're tripping, you're falling, you want nothing else but to sweep it under the rug and forget that it ever happened. But sometimes the true gems are in the journey that you've taken to get to where you're going, right? It's about that stumble. It's about learning how to officially get yourself and build yourself up to that ultimate place. And there is wisdom here. People, I'm diving down the rabbit hole right now. I know y'all following me. I know it. And I'm going to stop because you get what I'm saying here. I'm not going to get on my preacher's horse here. Pick up these books, man. I'm telling you, because here's the thing. This is not just for the children. I know it's written for children, but I'm just going to point it out there. I already find myself benefiting from so much of these messages. And I know a lot of you listening in there, you'll be like, Benji, this is for my children, but I might take it and read it at night every now and then just for myself. After the kids have already gone to bed, I need to get re-engaged. I need to get back to this message here because I've been overlooking it. I've been under so much stress. I've been on that hamster wheel of life. Sometimes we need to recenter and we need to get back to understanding it's okay. That journey is getting you where you need to go, and there's wisdom in all of it, man. Kelley, I didn't realize I was going to get a book out of this. My God, I thought it was just for my children. This is fantastic stuff. Joking aside, as we close out, my final question here for you, Kelley, we've discussed a lot of information, so much beneficial gems. Is there anything that you'd like to let us know before we let you go?
Yeah, I would just say that you just put one foot in front of the other. It took me 2 years really to write my book, and there was plenty of times where I was like, this is horrible. I even just, as I sat down, pulled out one of my first sketches for the book, and it's horrible. Like, looking at it now, I'm like, oh my God, that is awful.
You've come a long way.
Yeah, I've come a long way. And don't give up on yourself. That's another beautiful message. It's like, if you keep making progress toward whatever goal it is that you have in your mind, it can be the smallest thing, or it could be the seemingly smallest thing to someone else. But if it's important to you and you put one foot in front of the other, you'll get there.
Love that. People, one last time, the book is called Little Seed. English, Spanish version, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, KelleyBrowneReynolds.com. Head on over there. Be on the lookout for the next two. Let Yourself Fly, Wisdom of the Worm. Each of these are magnificent resources you want to add to your shelf because they're going to help you plant seeds of confidence and curiosity in yourself, in the young readers that are going to approach it, and so much more. Man, you know where to go. Pick up your copies today. Kelley, this has been a true pleasure, an absolute honor. I really do mean that. Thank you once again for being a guest on People of Distinction.
Thank you so much. I truly appreciate you having me.